What's up, Patriots? Let's get into it. Sorry, I'm a little late. I was vacuuming, trying to keep my space clean, and I closed all my browser tabs. But let's go ahead and jump straight into, we have Chuck Schumer is now getting destroyed by Democrats, that's another sign of their party fracturing. We're going to get into the JFK stuff very quickly. Just as I had mentioned, all my tabs had crashed. Some of them don't have history, but I've got perplexity.ai will be good. We're going to talk about how this links to Donald Trump, who actually were the CIA, and how did the United Kingdom keep their MI6 under control, but the United States couldn't keep their CIA under control. What's the difference there? What happened? So we'll talk about all that very shortly. I'm going to restore these tabs while this video is playing. Let's see. I'm just going to move it over to one whole tab here in just a minute. Let's see. We'll get rolling. I got so many tabs that I can't grab them all, but we're good though. We got this, fam.
People in your own party, they're saying, look, it's time for you to go. They no longer trust your leadership.
I think I'm going to have to pause to get the audio and then bring it back. But like I said, we got this. We're good. It looks like it is the right speakers. Yeah, just let me know if you can't hear it. Thanks, King. So he's going to be challenged by AOC. If she gets the speakership, imagine the bills that AOC would bring to the Senate floor. They're losing it. Okay, so Donnie says no sound. Okay, somebody earlier told me they could hear sound. We got this. We're going to unshare and share again, and we will be good. Let's see. We are going to just simply represent with new speaker options. Bada boom, bada bing. Let me make sure that the right speakers are selected. Let's see. Yeah, if you're just joining, I was cleaning up my area, closed all my tabs, and decided, you know what, I'm just going to reset my computer, restart. But we're good though. We got this. Let's see. Hopefully you can hear that, what just came through. Let's see what the Camera Hub app has got going on. Hope y'all are having a good day. I was blown away by the JFK files that a guy basically in the CIA ran to his friend's house, and he's like, oh my goodness, a small clique within the CIA killed the president and now they're going to kill me. And like 6 weeks later, he was found dead, shot in the head, and they said it was a suicide. What kind of trash is that? And they spent 10 years, from what I could observe, was, you can't hear me either? Let's try something else. Hold on. All right. How we doing? Can you hear me now? You know, the Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Ticker's still running. Let's see. It's the browser. You know, we got this, though. I told y'all we got this. We don't quit. We're going to win. All right. Let's get these. So, yeah, as I was saying, the woke part of the Democratic Party is about to take over the moderates. The Democratic Party has a 29% approval rating, the lowest since the year 1990. If the radicals take over leadership, it's probably going to mean they're not going to win more elections ever.
Anything.
I mean, on the federal level, in the next like 10 years.
For nothing. And I think that's what happened.
Yikes. Democrats have been holding town halls all over the country to try to shift the topic back to President Trump, his tax cuts, Medicaid, but doesn't seem to be working
Elon Musk
here. People are angry. Dana?
They got to channel it somewhere else. All right, Aisha, thank you so much for more on this. Caroline Downey is a National Review staff writer. Karim Hajar is a Boston Globe editorial board member. It's great to have you
ladies?
both.
Good morning.
So J.B. Pritzker, he's the governor of Illinois. He's also on the 2028.
Hey, Donnie says, I am not tired of winning. I am not either. We got the gas lower. We got the eggs lower. We eliminated the Houthi terrorists, or one of them, or maybe it's the ISIS terrorists. If you look at Trump versus Obama, when they kill a terrorist, Obama was like super formal about it. And the Democrats just love to virtue signal. They're like, listen to Trump talk like that. It's like, okay, these are our enemies. We kind of enjoy hearing the president talk trash about it. I mean, I do. If these people want the West dead, I enjoy the president talking trash.
I want to be president train. Here's what he said.
We have to take any opportunity where we have leverage in order to stand up and fight. It's to get compromise from this ridiculously, quiet Congress that goes along with whatever Donald Trump and Elon Musk are telling them. There was a real opportunity for us to stand up and speak out and to protect the people who we stand up for. I mean, I'm disappointed about what happened.
Caroline, easy for a governor to say who had nothing, no skin in the game.
There's a Republican trifecta. There's only so much that the Democratic caucus can do. And I think the mob revolt against Schumer is really astounding. I mean, he's being eaten alive for avoiding a government shutdown by progressive activists who don't want the government to be trimmed down at all. And I think, to his point, it reflects how little leverage they have. So little leverage, actually, that they're now clinging to the filibuster, which I was reliably told was a relic of the Jim Crow era. That being said, if I was the Democrats right now, I'd say, maybe Schumer should be primaried. Compared to Mitch McConnell, he's mediocre, right? Just because you can win seats doesn't mean you can rally your caucus effectively, and they're not capitalizing on the moment the way that the Democratic activists think they should.
He's talking a lot.
Sure is.
He's done a lot of interviews. All right, this one kind of boiled the water a bit on The View. Watch here on Tuesday.
The Republican Party is a different kettle of fish than it used to be, and that's why we're fighting them so hard. They are controlled by a small group of wealthy, greedy people. And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes.
This is such grifting and virtue signaling. This dude has $177K salary, or they might have raised it to $220 like a year ago, and he's worth $81 million. And the top 10% of Americans, income earners, pay 75% of the federal tax burden. And the ones that are able to save on their personal taxes still have to pay corporate taxes for their corporations. And I get the left argument of like income inequality. That does like crash civilizations. But the solution to that is just to force companies to stay in your country and hire your citizens at a livable wage. It's not to tax them more, because then they're just going to move out of the country where somebody else has lower taxes. That's the question there.
Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government.
I don't know. Go for it.
Oh, dear. I guess he's having a bad week with Democrats. He's also going to have a bad week with working class voters, with small business owners. I mean, the issue here is that Democrats don't have a central message. They don't have any appeal with their old bread and butter, working class voters, small business owners, middle class people. These are people that are willing to pay their taxes if they think that the government is using them correctly. They haven't been seeing that from leaders like the Democrats. That's why Democrats lost in 2024. That's why they're having to scramble. They are not in a position to negotiate a CR. That was a huge mistake. He should have stuck with his message. This is why Doge is popular with Republicans. I mean, because they want their money to be used more effectively. And not just Republicans.
Yeah, not just Republicans, like 75% of Americans that are saying that too. And
this is how we got Democrats trapped. They can't shut down the government because there's like hours of sound bites of Democrats. You can't shut down the government. It's bad for the people. You'll make them poor and they won't have any money. But at the same time, to keep funding the government, funded Doge, and that's what they did. So it's Trump actually. This is what Republicans have wanted for 20 years. Somebody to actually put forth a bill. It wasn't perfect. It had too much spending, but it had the key provisions to keep pursuing the things that Trump wants to cut. And we're seeing Republicans fight harder than Democrats, and they're now losing, like I said, to a greater extent in 35 years. That is truly significant.
Caroline, one of the things that's happened, Republican lawmakers are reacting to, mocking hardworking taxpayers or wanting to keep their own money. You can imagine that some of these people like Pat Harrigan saying, it's bad when even Whoopi Goldberg tries to get Schumer to stop talking. Like you heard when they start playing the music, that's like when they want you to rap, because they knew like something like that will end up in every Republican ad against all of the Democrats that Schumer tries to protect. And they might actually lose more seats in 2026.
Dana, it's a perfect attack ad for the Republicans, and what a surefire way to stay in the political wilderness by decrying not only the working class, but one of Trump's most popular pitches, tax cuts, which unleashed American prosperity, as we know, in his first term. But I think what that shows, that clip of Schumer, he's trying to make an overture to those progressive activists. He's trying to save face. I saw The Nation, very progressive outlet, said that we think Schumer needs to resign and he needs to be replaced by someone closer to Bernie Sanders. So it's the Bernie Sanders tax the rich coming out to fight the elders.
Well, you know, they've got Elon in their crosshairs, too. Axios says senior House Democrats said of their mood toward Schumer. His popularity is hovering somewhere between Elon Musk and the Ebola virus.
Oh, dear.
Great.
Well, the irony here with the CR fight in particular is that Democrats want to present themselves as this resistance party. Resisting what? We don't know, because they don't have a central message yet. But what Schumer did was effectively avoid a situation. If you go into shutdown, it's the Democrats who are going to be blamed for it, number one. But number two, it's the White House and Office of Budget and Management that gets to choose who's furloughed and who isn't. And so Democrats are worried about playing into Elon Musk's hand, but that's what a shutdown would have done. It would have given the Trump admin the power to say who is still working, who's not, for an extended period of time.
And all of this for a clean CR. This wasn't even like a radical thing. This was just like keeping the government going the way that it was. So thanks for being here, guys, girls.
So
Ladies' Day on a Wednesday.
Right.
What we're about to witness is a complete judicial insurrection. It's already happening. Now, I posted a reel earlier. I don't know if some of y'all saw it. It's literally the dude who wrote most of the Constitution saying that we feared, as the founders, the most dangerous branch of government is Article 3, the judiciary. If you give one branch of government ultimate authority to interpret the entire Constitution over time, it'll become like putty in their hands. And that's the whole basis of judicial activism. They're shutting down so much of what Trump is doing right now. And they want him to, I would say they would probably more likely want him to not resist. But if he does resist, they're going to say he's a fascist, insurrectionist. But they're literally violating Article 2. I mean, it's as simple, the simplest language ever. The power is vested in a president. And you could create 10 BS federal laws. Well, then you have the Supremacy Clause. Oh, Trump's breaking this federal law, this U.S. code. Well, what does the Supremacy Clause say? All laws have to be in order and alignment, cannot violate, contradict the U.S. Constitution. So we'll see a lot of that, but here's some amazing news. And then, right after this, I think I've got pulled up this summary of the JFK files, and then I'm going to show you some stuff that was most shocking to me. But George Soros just received some devastating news, if I can find this exact post. He has been in one pretty big country, had his office raided, and I think completely shut down, which is good because, I mean, they literally, his organizations destroy societies. That's what they do. So they shouldn't be in the business of being able to move into countries when your literal goal is to destroy societies. He shorted the British pound in '92. Let's see here. We're going to find this in just a minute. And oh yeah, minimum 5 years. While I'm still looking for that, Pam Bondi thankfully has said minimum 5 years on the Tesla stuff. If you keep firebombing and shooting at Tesla dealerships, you're probably going to get 20 years. Your minimum going to get 5. They're going to up swatting the criminal penalty to attempted murderer because they've swatted maybe 100 conservatives. I think the CIA is paying for this. I don't know for sure, but it's either that or George Soros, somebody with a lot of money, because there's been ads on Craigslist paying people $40 an hour to protest. They're just like ads that don't reveal any information. Hey, this is Maya. Text me at this number if you want $40 to show up and protest for 2 hours minimum or something like that. But interestingly, the demand is surging for Tesla. The stock is continuing to go down, but the demand I'll show you in a moment, is surging after we watch this.
Of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or the Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it, because this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that
Yeah, and it is the woke mind virus taken to its fullest form. This is what the Soviets called being fully subverted. You're so consumed, your emotional brain center is so overstimulated that you can no longer access your reasoning capabilities to a meaningful extent. And you're completely overcome by rage, fear, horror, destitute, like feeling alone. And that's why they're FAFOing. They're messing around and finding out and getting 20 years. I mean, I feel bad for some of them because they're literally brainwashed, but yeah, that's what's happening. Trump fired 2 people at the Federal Trade Commission. That is also huge news. While I'm still looking for, oh yeah, here it is. Here is this post right here. So we need to be the next people to do this. India has raided George Soros' office, Open Society Foundation, offices in Karnataka. And yeah, everybody's got to do this. Oh, this is huge too. Sorry, there's so many breaking stories. Some of them are just coming to my mind. A guy showed up to the CIA offices with a gun, and like tons of SWAT team pulled up. Let's see if they're covering that on InfoWars. And I'm looking right now for this summary of the JFK files. We're going to cover quite a few of the specific things that were released. And I just want to talk about what I think, who they might have been. I think it was an organization within our government that was not our government. Because there were people that knew about JFK's assassination 3 months before he was killed. If you assume these files are correct. Now, it could be a misinformation psyop. Could be a misdirection psyop, because they love doing that. They could be some fake, some real. But if they are real, if you are to believe them, this guy that was in a satellite state to the Soviet Union in August. Now, JFK was assassinated November 22nd, 1963. This guy knew about August 10th that JFK was going to be assassinated. He went to the U.S., told the FBI, they said, you better shut up forever or we're going to poison you with amnesia drugs where you won't remember anything. And he's like, well, I better shut the hell up because I don't want that to happen. And then he writes about it later, but it's just so much crazy stuff. Like that's our government, overthrowing our own government. It must have been such a sad day to be alive that day. I mean, it's not really too surprised by this, that a guy showed up with a gun to the CIA after everything that's been revealed. I imagine they got him, like, he surrendered, and he'll probably do like 10 years or something. And I also want to know, why did JFK Jr. in 90, I'm going to mute this because I'm probably going to get copyrighted for the music. I'll have to cut it out later. Why did JFK Jr. in 94 write a letter to Senator Joe Biden saying you're a traitor? And then he signed it, and it went into FBI evidence, and that was classified. It just allegedly it got just now unclassified because it was amongst the JFK documents. So that's pretty interesting, like why they classified that. I mean, some people were speculating it was tied to JFK Jr.'s death, but he didn't die until 99, 4 years later. So not so sure about that. But yeah, this guy here, let's see, I'm going to look at some comments. Another hired... Yeah, who knows, man? What if this was a CIA guy that the CIA hired so they can get sympathy points? They're like, well, we're going to get one of our own employees to pretend to be against us, and then we'll just ship them off to another country and let them work there. Who knows with these people? It's like it's so much misdirection of where they're heading and what they're doing. Let's see here. Yeah, so much. The Daily Wire CEO stepped down. I don't really feel like they're conservative anymore. Or they're like, I don't know. Y'all tell me if you think that the Daily Wire is conservative as they used to be. I feel like they've gotten too much in the middle for me. We'll watch a little bit of Levitt while this search is being performed. Just going to pull all of the biggest talking points or the main things discovered.
How are we? It's a newsy day indeed. And last night we saw the very best of America. After spending nearly 300 days aboard the International Space Station, Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams are back on Earth. These two incredible astronauts were only supposed to be up there for 8 days, but because of the Biden administration's lack of urgency, they ended up spending 9 months in space.
I posted a reel about this, and all the Democrats said space don't exist. They said that spaceships don't exist. We can't really get to space. It's all filmed in a studio, and they're like denied the whole thing. It's like it's just such insanity where we've gotten to. I'll post war. Some of y'all again may have seen this too. I posted the other day, war is bad, and then I got all these replies. Oh, you must live in Russia and work for Putin. And then you tell. I mean. Another example would be you tell your acquaintance, maybe at work, oh, have you seen that gas has went down to $2.50 and eggs has went down? Isn't it great? That's a conspiracy theory. That's not true. Well, we just carpooled and we saw the gas station said $2.50. Don't you remember? Oh, well, the gas station owner must be working for Putin. It's wild. That's a wild psyop right there.
Joe Biden's lack of courage to act boldly and decisively was a big reason why Butch and Sunny did not make it back until yesterday. But President Trump doesn't waste time. Immediately after taking office, President Trump directed Elon Musk and SpaceX to rescue these brave astronauts alongside NASA. The president also called the acting administrator of NASA and told her to bring the astronauts home as soon as possible. As acting administrator Janet Petro said herself yesterday, per President Trump's direction, NASA and SpaceX worked diligently to pull the schedule a month earlier. The president looks forward to welcoming Butch and Sunny to the Oval Office when they are recovered. This historic mission brings new meaning to President Trump's promise to always look out for the forgotten man and woman. On another important matter, yesterday, President Trump and President Putin spoke about the need for peace and a ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace and also stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the United States and Russia. President Trump also spoke with President Zelensky this morning to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their needs and requests. As President Trump has said repeatedly, the precious lives and money that both Ukraine and Russia have been spending in this war would be better spent on the needs of their people. This terrible conflict would have never started with President Trump in charge, but he's determined to end it once and for all.
I agree, Michelle.
President Trump also promised maximum transparency and a commitment to rebuild the trust of the American people and our intelligence community. Part of that promise was to fully release previously classified records related to the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy, and he made that happen yesterday. This historic release consisted of approximately 80,000 pages of previously classified records that are now published. The records are available to access either online at archives.gov/JFK or in person, accessible to the American people at the National Archives in College Park, Maryland. Records that are currently only available for in-person viewing are being digitized and will be uploaded in the coming days. On another note, positive economic data continues to pour in, showing the immediate impact of President Trump's pro-growth agenda. After suffering a steep decline in the final year of the Biden administration, the manufacturing sector came roaring back in February. Industrial production surged in February. These are new numbers. 3 times at a greater 3 times rate than the expectations to its highest ever recorded level. And President Trump's laser focus on massive deregulation and unleashing our domestic energy industry is leading to stabilities for Americans' bottom lines. As Newsweek summed it up today, gas prices are plummeting under President Trump.
And I just want to address this for if you ever have a leftist tell you economic policies can't work in 2 months or 3 months. You know, it's been 59 days now that Donald Trump has been in office. Maybe less because, you know, February always it's a shorter month. So, I don't know, 57 days, something like that. And policies can work that quickly. And here's why. Because half of the market is psychology and what the CEOs, what they're thinking, what they realize. When you know that in 6 months and a year, you're going to be paying out the wazoo if you stay in China, if you stay in Mexico, if you stay in Canada, you're going to be getting your people in the United States very quickly because their whole goal was to make as much profit as possible. So that's going to happen, new jobs in the United States very quickly. And if the tariff war is happening, that's going to also make some people realize, even though it's going to slow down GDP, it's going to keep us ahead and protect our economy, so many sectors of our economy. There's a lot of debate about tariffs, but when you hear the left talk about them, they play like Schrodinger's tariff. If you've heard of the Schrodinger's cat in quantum mechanics, is that the cat exists and doesn't exist at the same time. They love to talk about how bad the tariffs are going to hurt the United States, but when the other country tariffs back, they act like that's a non-existent factor. And I'm just pointing out, hypocrisy on that. We're going to get a lot of wealth. It's going to be beautiful.
And the Trump administration continues to make American communities safer through our ongoing mass deportation campaign of illegal alien criminals. Yesterday, FBI Director Kash Patel announced the agency captured another fugitive from its 10 most wanted list, securing the extradition of Francisco Javier Roman Bardeles, a key senior leader of the brutal MS-13 gang. And the brave men and women of ICE also arrested a number of dangerous aliens across the country in recent days. You will see them on this screen. ICE San Francisco just arrested a citizen of Guatemala convicted of sexual battery. ICE New Orleans arrested a citizen of Ecuador convicted of rape in Suffolk County, New York. ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Mexico convicted of assault by strangulation. ICE Dallas arrested a citizen of Mexico convicted of assault with a firearm and rape with a foreign object. And ICE Houston arrested a citizen of Guatemala convicted of indecent sexual contact with a child in Texas. These are heinous criminal alien monsters who the previous administration allowed to flood into our country. And every time President Trump and this team deport one of them, our country becomes safer. Finally, before I open it up to questions, I want to tout how successful our efforts have been in filling out President Trump's administration. There have been a record number of 281 Senate confirmed nominations already, with another 280 in process. Here at the White House, OPM and GSA, we have filled 100% of the total number of slots. And this is a record number of placements in the first 58 days of any administration, and a testament to the caliber and the sheer quantity of talented people who want to work for President Trump to make America great again. Here in our new media seat today, we have Katie Pavlich. Katie is the editor of townhall.com, which is a subsidiary of Town Hall Media. It's a leading conservative news and opinion outlet based right here in Washington, D.C., with writers and journalists reporting around the country. Last year, Town Hall Media had 60 million unique users and 1.4 billion page views, with a broad reach on a number of social media platforms. With that, Katie, please kick us off.
Thank you, Caroline. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. So given the back and forth with this U.S. District Judge and the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act, does the president plan to send new and additional flights of Venezuelan gang members, now designated as foreign terrorists, from the U.S. to El Salvador or elsewhere? Can Americans expect to see those flights sometime soon?
Americans can absolutely expect to see the continuation of the mass deportation campaign that has been successfully led by this president, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Since you brought up the judges, I would like to point out that the judges in this country are acting erroneously. We have judges who are acting as partisan activists from the bench. They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable. As the President said last night, we will continue to comply with these court orders. We will continue to fight these battles in courts, but it's incredibly apparent that there is a concerted effort by the far left to judge shop, to pick judges who are clearly acting as partisan activists from the bench in an attempt to derail this president's agenda. We will not allow that to happen. And not only are they usurping the will of the president and the chief executive of our country, but they are undermining the will of the American public, tens of millions of Americans who duly elected this president to implement the policies that are coming out of this White House.
And then one more question. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said yesterday that he was united with Democrats in working against Americans who, quote, their attitude is, I made my money all by myself, how dare your government take my money from me? Or, I built my company with my bare hands, how dare your government tell me how to treat my customers? What is the president's response to this, given his upcoming tax agenda and need to work on Capitol Hill?
Well, we certainly hope that Democrats all of a sudden are for more money in the pockets of the American public. The president has made it incredibly clear that he is committed to tax cuts. He is committed to passing a big reconciliation package later this year, ending no taxes on tips, taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security for our hardworking seniors. And we encourage everybody on Capitol Hill to support that when it comes to the finish line, especially Democrats who clearly need a boost from the American public right now. Their approvals are at an all-time record low. Thanks for being.
Yeah, they're getting cooked. Just to show you real quick here, let's take a quick look at Section 2 of Article 3 of the Judiciary Branch. Specifically, what it says, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and the treaties made or which shall be made under the authority to all the cases affecting ambassadors, other ministers, counselors, all cases. So the jurisdiction is wide, but the key thing is this right here. It's in law and equity, and it has to be based on pre-existing law and whether or not it's constitutional. If there's no law for it prohibiting it, then it couldn't. If it's allowed by the Constitution and it's not prohibited by federal law, it must be legal. That's the logical outcome. But if there is law and they're saying that they're breaking the law, they have to specify how. Now, Donald Trump invoking the 1798 Enemy Aliens Act, the judge didn't say why that was legal. He didn't present a valid argument or why it's illegal. So Trump's actually a wartime president right now. That's pretty badass to think about. But yeah, we're going to see him. I mean, that vastly expands his constitutional powers during war. I mean, historically, that's what presidents have done. Some argue that it's too much of an expansion of the executive branch, but he's a wartime president.
With us, Katie. Garrett.
I have one other question, but I want to follow up on Katie's question, actually. You said the mass deportation campaign would continue, but she asked about the flights specifically. Will those flights to El Salvador continue while this case is being appealed?
We don't have any flights planned specifically, but we will continue with the mass deportations. And I would just like to point out that the judge in this case is essentially trying to say that the president doesn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our American soil. That is an egregious abuse of the bench. This judge does not have that authority. It is the opinion of this White House and of this administration, and that's why we're fighting this in court. And it's very, very clear that this is an activist judge who is trying to usurp the president's authority. Under the Alien Enemies Act, the president has this power, and that's why this deportation campaign has continued. And this judge, Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
You took me right where I wanted to go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Well, let me just say something to that effect, Garrett. 67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. 60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges. This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
And it's called judicial activism. Like, that's what Ketanji Brown Jackson does. Unfortunately, that's what Amy Coney Barrett has been doing to some extent. They don't, the ideal that the Constitution, how it was supposed to be interpreted, and again, Thomas Jefferson, the primary author, his words confirm this, is that it's supposed to be a fixed form of government, and you're supposed to view the documents in a static, this is how they thought. Now, people say, well, what about slavery? Well, we amended slavery. We amended the Constitution, okay? So that's a weak argument. But no, these activist judges, they're like, well, what do my feelings tell me about the Constitution? How do I feel today? What should I think about? Oh, you know what? I don't like Donald Trump, so I'm going to avoid this part of the Constitution. I mean, that's literally how they think. It's crazy.
Given that, do you think it's a good use of Congress's time and the president's political capital to try to impeach and remove a federal judge, which would take 67 votes you're unlikely to get in the Senate?
Well, look, the president has made it clear that he believes this judge in this case should be impeached, and he has also made it clear that he has great respect for the Chief Justice John Roberts, and it's incumbent upon the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges. These partisan activists are undermining the judicial branch by doing so. We have co-equal branches of government for a reason, and the president feels very strongly about that. Jackie.
Thanks, Caroline. What options does the president have to, he says he's going to follow court orders. He wouldn't defy a court order, but he's raised these concerns about these judges acting in such a partisan way. What option does he have to ensure that his agenda continues to move forward while this is ongoing and the judges appear to be trying to just block and delay and impede?
Well, you're right. They are trying to block, delay, and impede. This is lawfare. The president is no stranger to it. He faced it in his campaign, and this is a continuation of the lawfare that President Trump faced.
So he's going to keep fighting. All right, we're going to get into some core details of the Kennedy files that were released.
We have major.
And I'm going to go through, use two different sources, two different websites. I'm going to show you some things that I looked at as well, but first I want to look at these general findings. And some of these I haven't read yet, so I might be surprised by some of these myself as well. So the mafia, basically for 50 years, the JFK files insinuate that the U.S. government was like partially ran by the mafia. And, for, I don't know, like 20 years, it was the Italian mafia, and then the Jewish population, or some of the Jewish, not all, some of the Jewish population took over the mafia, and then it was the Jewish mafia. That's at least what the files imply. Key findings, Trump administration, well, that's too much. Significant portion, document details, let's see. We already knew, I mean, the one document that proves the CIA allegation, I'll see if I can find it here a little bit later and link it in the chat for everybody to have. Again, it's that guy scurrying to his friend's house, maybe November 23rd, a day after the assassination. He worked for the CIA. He said a rogue element, a subset, a group within the CIA has gone rogue assassinated the president. They know I've done it, and then they're going to kill me. And then, yeah, he was in 6 months was murdered. And it seems as if they killed, I'm just guesstimating based off of like the volume of different things I read, but at least a few hundred people over the next 10 years that they feared would snitch or have enough compelling evidence to make the CIA look sufficiently bad. A particularly explosive claim comes from CIA intelligence asset Gary Underhill, who reportedly stated shortly after Kennedy's death that a small clique within the CIA was responsible. Uphill described the group as a corrupt element every bit as ruthless and more efficient as the mafia. He identified as a military journalist with community connections. He fled Washington following his fearing for his life, only to die in 1964 from a gunshot wound to the head, ruled as a suicide. Yeah, okay. I doubt that. I mean, maybe, but that could be a whole nother wormhole. Like every one of these claims, because again, it's been so many years, right? They could be selectively releasing stuff. Not Trump. I think he really wants to get it all out there. That Tulsi Gabbard really wants to get it all out there. But something I've realized in the last few years, government employees, it's especially true with the FBI and the intelligence agencies, but all of them, they're indoctrinated to value the institution over the Constitution. So if it can protect their asses, keep their jobs, even if it violates our founding document, a lot of them won't think twice about it. So who knows, but at least a lot of these seem to paint a picture of a lot more specifics, which is good. So, yeah, he got killed, after reporting on it. And CIA monitored Oswald connections to Cuban intelligence, anti-Castro groups, but failed to share it with the FBI. So the CIA knew that Oswald was talking to Cuba. He was talking to a Russian spy down in Mexico. And maybe some of this is old and it actually was already released. I've heard some people make those allegations. This is the first time I've looked into some of this, but I know at least some of it is, or a lot of it is new. It's 80,000 pages. They're still uploading it. And what's frustrating is it's like 2,000 PDFs, or last night it was 1,100 PDFs. It's probably 2,000 now. Our government has become so corrupt they cannot be trusted at any level. Yeah, I think they need to, in my opinion, fire everybody except maybe 10 people with the FBI, the NSA, the CIA. Even consider if you still need the CIA. I mean, their goal, RFK said their goal was to feed a constant pipeline of wars. He said that's what their goal is. I wondered, okay, maybe at one point they were good guys. They were overthrowing governments that were a legitimate threat to the U.S. But then I started asking questions where, are they overthrowing people that want to not rely too heavily on the U.S.? And is that kind of evil to do that? And so, we'll keep reading here, though. Second shooter evidence, the grassy knoll. Just so we can get through so many of these, I'll just jump through the major points of each. And if you want more detail, anybody can ask me in the chat. I'll try to monitor all of the chats. But yeah, including suppressed statement from a Dallas bystander who was allegedly intimidated into silence by government agents. That was a thing. Hundreds of allegations of intimidation, coercion, of people who were witnesses telling them shut up or, we'll poison you with drugs or you won't make it. Mafia connections. Let's see. File reported wiretaps with mob bosses take care of custody with connections to Cuban operatives and anti-Castro groups. One document alleged links to Chicago mob boss training Cuban militiamen, suggesting an intersection of mafia interest in CIA operations. Johnny Rosselli, a mafia figure previously linked to the CIA assassination plots against Fidel Castro, emerged as a key player. Potential motive centers on revenge. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy's aggressive campaign against organized crime had many powerful enemies. While the botched Bay of Pigs invasion had cost the mafia figures their lucrative Cuban casino operations. So that sounds like reasonable motivation if you lose your casino. So let's see. CIA memo reportedly showed intensified surveillance of Oswald's Cuban intelligence contacts, yet no preventative work was done. A phone call received before Oswald's death that predicted his murder by Jack Ruby, suggesting Jack Ruby knew the events in advance. Additional context, the activities in the weeks leading up, including his movements and contacts, were obscured. Let's see, experts' perspectives and cautions. Historians and scholars urge caution in interpreting. I mean, I think we know that. Like, hopefully. It's been 60-something years, and all the government loves to lie, so that's something we're already expecting to doing. So yeah, I'd ask this more questions. What is the most significant mafia connections revealed in the JFK files? And by the way, check out I'm not affiliated with these people. I don't get paid money by them. And you can use it for free. Perplexity.ai. You can ask it some really deep research questions, and it's like one of the first AI browsers. It's pretty sweet. But anyways, yeah, mafia collaboration against Castro. That's one of the most significant things that they found. One particularly revealing document details a meeting arranged by William Harvey where the CIA operative Jim O'Connell met with Sam Giancana, Santo Traficante, Johnny Rosselli, and Robert Mohey at the Fontainebleau Hotel. Poison pills and $10,000 for Rosselli to be used in an assassination attempt against Castro. And allegedly, JFK wanted to normalize relations with Cuba. So he wanted to have some peace there. They wanted war. I don't know if there was, if we assume it's the mafia, and then I was listening to a guy last night who's supposedly the world's leading expert on Kennedy. He said that initially the mafia was like Italians, and then a subset of Jews overthrew the Italians, and then there's like the Jewish mafia. He was saying that it could be communist infighting. Like maybe it was just all communists that had influence in the CIA, because there was a guy that he knew in August of the assassination, and he was in Lithuania. He was in a satellite state of the USSR. I'll have to go back and find that document. But how do these people know 3 months in advance? Former Chicago police officer and Cook County Deputy Sheriff Richard Kane emerged as a key figure. Cites his involvement in recruiting young Cuban exiles in Chicago as part of what experts believe was a mob effort to maintain control over their gambling operations. So deep. I mean, Chicago has been corrupt for 120 years, probably way longer than that. Compelling evidence the mob's motive for potentially killing Kennedy. FBI reports confirm what many long had suspected. Organized crime felt deeply betrayed by the Kennedy administration. While the mob had apparently watched JFK's election victory with anticipation, they were blindsided when RFK, Robert, that's, that I know Robert is his brother. That was what they called him, though, right? They called him Robert. They didn't have different nicknames, right? Hopefully I'm not mixing up their nicknames. I think he was just called Robert, like RFK Jr. is. But yeah, so when his brother, RFK Sr., declared war on the underworld, they were pretty pissed that they were coming after them. And when they were allegedly donated to Kennedy, The newly released file exposes one redacted names of informants, suggesting that the mob not only had the motive, but also the means and the connections to potentially carry out such an operation. This reinforces the theory that Kennedy's assassination could have been partially motivated by revenge from organized crime figures who had been targeted by his brother's Justice Department. Jack Ruby's organized crime connection. So I don't know what the original report, the Warren Commission, said about Jack Ruby, but apparently, if I recall correctly, I thought I heard that he was a random guy that didn't know Oswald. He just like got into a fit of rage because he felt mad that his president had been assassinated, and then, you know, went and retaliated against Oswald, and that was the official story, and they never met each other. But it's deeper than that. They had talked before, and yeah, Ruby had connections to criminal organizations. So much going on. Suspicious deaths of key mob witnesses. You know, you had a lot of that in the 60s, 70s. Mafia intelligence coalition. Perhaps most explosive for the indications of potential collaboration between mafia elements and intelligence operatives in Kennedy's assassination. And that's what I kind of want to know now, who they're working with. Like, if you want to know what bad guys are doing, I mean, today it's easier to know. I mean, we have satellites that can see the brand on a golf ball from space in 4K, ultra high definition. Now, I don't know if our audio capabilities or anything like that, probably pretty soon, but in those times, at least, you had to have somebody sent into the bad guys organization. So how much of our CIA was like for real, like rank and file mafia members? Maybe our entire, who knows? It's just crazy to think about that our government was ran by mafia for decades. Complex web of criminal and intelligence connections. So we got some more questions. I'm going to see what to ask you. How did the mafia feel when they were betrayed? How did Chicago mob bosses recruit exiles? What was this? Who is Richard Kane? I'm kind of curious who that is, and then it's going to research that. But let's see. While that researches that, we're going to come right back. This is good news. X.com. I might pull a little bit of this video, is now worth what Elon Musk purchased for it. We're going to come back to the Kennedy files, and I'm going to, again, like I said, bring up some specifics that I found and take a look. I think I might actually have one specific file that some people are calling older. Some people are saying that it's brand new. This is pretty crazy if this is the way that this is written. Let's see. Can I zoom in here? Let's see if it's going to let me. It's not going to zoom the document. Okay. So the document says, and let me see if I can see who this is from, to and from. It's really bad printing. Office Chicago, or to my standards anyways, I guess it was decent back then. Title of case, Protective Research, Chicago office. Investigation special agent, informants. But the part in yellow that everybody's freaking out about is it says, we now have plenty of money. Our new bankers are Jews as soon as we or they take care of Kennedy. So, I don't know. There's some people that go like super hardcore and say that like Israel has America completely captured. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I've seen Trump criticize Israel. I would be mad if we got into extended wars with Israel or on their behalf. Like if Iran having nuclear weapons, they might, you have to do the math there and see is that, like, you probably don't want them to have nuclear weapons because if I understand correctly, they're mostly Muslim and they would see it as a jihad if they're Muslim extremists. Not saying that all Muslims are extremists, But if the leaders of Iran are assuming that, then they might not care if they started a nuclear holocaust. They'd be okay with that. So maybe you got to do that, and you have to bomb Iran. But it looks like the ceasefire is going to happen or it already is started, stage 1, in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. But yeah, so there's some allegations that Israel intelligence agency requested to have their name redacted like 30-something times. So they could be involved as well. And again, that was a large part of the mafia. And I'm just trying to be careful how I want to say this, because I don't want to accuse everyone of any ethnicity. And there seems to be like a lot of people that'll say you're anti-Semitic if you say something about like a subset of people and not the whole population. But that document says they have plenty of money as soon as Kennedy is taken care of. So let's see here. Training Cuban militiamen, CIA, mafia collaboration. When the files don't provide direct evidence linking Chicago mob to Kennedy's assassination, Kane's involvement reinforces the complex web. Who is Kane? Revealed. He provides contextual clues. This is the thing. They added so many figures to the complex web of, and that might be part of the misdirection too, is adding all of these new figures. I'm gonna look for some specific files now, but here's an update on. I mean, I do think we'd have to bomb the Houthis, right? We've got trade going around North Africa. Who the hell wants to sell all around South Africa? They've attacked the U.S. Navy 170 times. So yeah, that's happening.
Responded by attacking USS Harry Truman aircraft carrier.
Oh, geez. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
They claim to launch 18 ballistic missiles along with many drones. The American is a blatant aggression during our country in the past hours with more than 47 air raids targeting several areas. And so now they're going to attack back?
We're sitting on 4 years of deferred maintenance from Joe Biden. They were allowed for over 100 times to shoot at commercial shipping. 4 months ago, when we sent a ship through, it was shot at 17 times. Ships haven't been able to go through for over a year without being shot at. Freedom of navigation is basic. It's a core national interest.
How long will this campaign last?
Can you imagine having to sail all the fucking way around Africa just because a couple of clowns don't want...
Excuse this guy's language if you prefer PG-13 or PG, but I play this guy's clips because he's my age, mid-30s. He's got all of the 20-year-olds' voices. I've looked at the crosstabs data. Like, a large percentage of 20-year-old men are more conservative than 70-year-old men. And the consequences of that for the next 50 years I think it's going to return America. Some people are going to say we're going to regress. I mean, that's what progressives say, right? Like, they always want to be moving. Even if you land in a good spot and you're comfortable and you're happy and you're content and everybody's smiling and feels great, well, they're progressive. They have to go somewhere. But, I mean, even if we got back to feminism where men and women don't hate each other as much anymore, and the states getting over education, and then the U.S. going back to the top 5 in education, they'd say that's regressing, but that's nothing compared to what's going to happen to Europe with, like, they've imported the Muslims that are claim themselves they want an Islamic caliphate. They want to overthrow European governments. So, anyways, that's why I play this guy for some of the new people. I've gained a lot of followers. Thank y'all, by the way. I think I've gained 12,000 followers in the last month. I appreciate y'all.
Want you to go through here?
Helping me, share. Y'all share and hit the thumbs up. So I appreciate y'all.
The billions of dollars that we're spending on this?
I want to be very clear. This campaign is about freedom of navigation. The minute the Houthis say, we'll stop shooting at your ships, this campaign will end.
That's all. So all they have to do is stop shooting at us? Here's the way I see it, okay? If we can't use our military to protect international waters, this is one of the poorest poorest countries in the world shooting up American vessels if we can't take care of this? Fuck this. Fuck this. Because it's a lot of my money going into this. I paid for this. Right? Actually, I don't know. Is this one of theirs or one of ours? Actually, you know what? I probably did pay for this. That's theirs? Yeah, but that doesn't mean we didn't pay for it somehow, right? Yeah, I still paid for it, believe it or not.
We are all paying for it with our tax dollars. So this is what I don't get. How can you praise Elon Musk for saving the environment with electric cars, which all of that metal mining for metal it's an electric vehicle arrives at the dealership already having emitted, I don't know the percentage more, but the manufacturing processes, compare a traditional combustion engine to an electric vehicle, the amount of rare earth metals and the CO2 emissions, I don't think that global warming is man-made. I think it's just that's my personal view, that it's just a cycle that just happens. But electric cars take something like 2 years to catch up, and then they're it continues to progress the longer you own the electric vehicle. But regardless, he was their hero for years, and now he's trying to save money for the taxpayers. And Elon is saying the level of violence is insane and deeply wrong. Tesla just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve these evil attacks. And you got people like this, I don't know who these people are, but Cry More, 79,000 likes, and then everybody just celebrating. They're calling the Tesla the swastika car now. I mean, it did look awkward the way he raised his hand, but a Nazi salute is forward. It's not diagonal. And Elon Musk is brilliant, but I think he has Asperger's, a mild form of autism, and he can be socially awkward at times. But he wore the necklace of a Jewish family. A Jewish family gave Elon Musk this necklace and said, please hold on to this for us and pray that our kids, the hostages, come home. And he wore it for like 8 months or something. No actions that Elon Musk nor Donald Trump have taken would suggest that they're anti-Semitic Nazis. They've been very hospitable and kind to the Jewish people and everything that I've seen. So it's really just a complete, it's a mind grape is what it is. I'm adding a G. You probably know what I'm saying. They've been mind graped, and that's where we're at with 25% of the country, and the governors have created a playbook where they want to stop Donald Trump from gaining control of the National Guard. If things get really crazy, they have a 126-page book that I had to do a super deep dive to even find an analysis on. But they've got a whole plan, like 5 or 6 Democratic governors, the governor of Illinois, the governor of Washington State, let's see, the governor of, maybe it was the governor of Colorado. Anyways, they have a plan to resist Trump. And I'm wondering, why does this plan exist? Or do they know about some funded violence that's going to continue to happen, where Trump might need to invoke the Insurrection Act and nationalize the Guard, which hasn't happened since '92, the LA riots? But I don't think that those governors are going to get what they want. I think if Trump, hopefully he doesn't have to, but I mean, with this violence at these Tesla dealerships, these field offices at the FBI, I don't know how fast they're going to act. But yeah, it's also crazy. So much news. Sorry, let's see. I'm going to pull up some more specific files. I got y'all. I said I would do that. So I'm going to pull up some more specific files. We'll watch this for a second.
It's the segment. Elon Musk wins. Twitter has, X, I dead named it, has a $44 billion valuation. Elon's made all his money back and now has one of the leading AI platforms. Cry more libs. Spit and yowl like whiny babies. You lose. Thanks for watching, everybody. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. That's all. I'm just kidding. We'll read the news story. But this is tremendous. Shout out to Elon Musk. Okay, I always say this because I'm a reasonable guy. Elon's far from perfect. Okay, you're not coming to my channel to see me be like, the man can do no wrong. I think he's kind of a goofy dude, to be completely honest. But yo, he's making spaceships. Okay, he's making spaceships. It's amazing. Bro, I am moved. Now, I seriously mean this. When I watch that ship come down and get caught by the chopsticks, effectively a 30-story building gets caught. It is what dreams are made of. Growing up watching Star Trek, seeing what Elon is pulling off.
This is what, I'm sorry I keep interrupting the videos I'm playing, but I've just got to acknowledge these specifics of why the left is so dumb. They think this man is going to fail when he owns like 7 companies. For every 100 pounds transported into space, SpaceX carries 95 pounds. In 2026, it's going to be 99 out of 100 pounds. The Boring Company is still getting funding for trying to build a tunnel from LA to New York. Starlink has like 50,000 satellites surrounding planet Earth. Even if they did completely destroy Tesla stock, he has the most profitable, I think, long term will be Starlink, because you can have just like billions of people paying you for internet.
I grew up, fairly liberal, libertarian-ish. So I always liked Ron Paul, and I say this a lot. He wasn't really aligned with me politically, but he was always saying government shouldn't do it. And so my position is no. And I'm like, you mean to tell me that if I were to support this guy, the worst case scenario is he just literally does nothing? I'm like, I'll take it, right? I still ended up voting for Obama, but I always liked Ron Paul in that he was saying, I believe things, but I'm not going to force them on you. And I'm like, I'll take it. Leave me alone. And so now with Elon Musk in government with Trump, and he's firing and gutting all these people, I'm like, good. Stop bothering me. So here we got a guy, kind of goofy. You can make fun of him and all that stuff. But hey, richest guy in the world, brought back free speech to a...
I mean, he really saved the West, because I just remember sharing and I found like a ton of very specific files on JFK I'm about to pull up in just a second. But I remember sharing that Hunter Biden laptop from hell story and instantly getting my account banned. I'm like, are we in North Korea? What kind of BS is this? And Democrats just love to say, it's a private company. Start your own company if you're not happy. So, all right, well, now he bought it. And now they're like crying about it. So now we tell them to buy their own private company, because it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of like insane, like very hateful speech towards. I don't believe in legal hate speech, by the way. I don't think that exists in my mind. You can be hateful towards somebody, but the First Amendment doesn't allow for criminal hate speech. I think all those laws are unconstitutional. That's my opinion. But yeah, let's look at quite a few of these here, different specific files and the allegations made. We'll start up here. They were even talking about chemtrails back then. What about that? That's wild. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. The group then turned to a discussion of 32 agricultural sabotage. General Carter emphasized the extreme sensitivity of any such operation and the disastrous results that would flow from something going wrong if it were attributed to the U.S. He went on to say, however, that if it was possible to accomplish this purpose by methods more subtly, that it would be good. Failures appear to be natural in origin. No worry of such sabotage. So, yeah, they were probably starving the Cubans by poisoning their air where it wouldn't grow crops. And I'm hearing some Americans say that there's so much aluminum. I've seen a couple comments like this. I can't remember what state they were from. But they said there's so much aluminum in my soil that we can't grow food anymore. Are they like trying to poison our land where we can't do agriculture so they can force us to eat the worms or eat the bugs, as they say? So that's huge. They were doing chemtrail work before Kennedy was assassinated. The release of these files, people were saying it's nothing new, but the biggest thing I think it says is it reaffirms that our own government committed insurrection against itself. And I want to compare this to Donald Trump in a minute because there's just so many parallels. And I'm going to end it on that when we compare these two momentarily. But Anna Paulina Luna, she's been a big part of this. So is Tulsi Gabbard. They're doing their part at least getting these things out. I mean, they did get sent to, I don't know who intercepted the documents on the way and added some redactions, but I've seen very little. And I'm going to put in the chat really quickly the link just so you guys can go yourselves and look at it. You may have seen it in my story if you're on Facebook, but anybody else, I'm going to put it in here right now. Yeah, let's see how many there are now. There's 2,182 PDFs. I'm not like great coder, but I'm trying to write a script with the help of AI. They can download all of those at once. And if I can, I'm going to distribute those as a master list to everybody. We'll see how that goes. But I just put that in chat. So that was the main point there, that there have been getting these documents out very quickly. And what does this say? The CIA saw the Roman Catholic Church as a key asset in its propaganda network, claiming exploitable access to its inner workings. The CIA exploited women, labor, students, teachers, and others. Who are these people? Are they Satanists running the CIA? Like, who are they? And, you know, I've always thought, I heard Alex Jones had a guest one night. I forgot his name, but he said, he spoke with a high level of certainty. I don't know if it's 100% true, but he said he knew for certain that Kamala Harris's mother worked for MK Ultra at the CIA. And not only would they experiment on adults, they also would experiment on kids. They wanted to see, you know, how could you developmentally take over the mind of an individual in addition to an already mature mind? And allegedly the CIA, the MK Ultra did experimentation on Kamala Harris. And I kind of, just looking at her body language, I almost believe that. She seems like, I mean, this is subjective, right? In my opinion. I don't know for certain, but she seems like she's been through a lot of trauma, something about just the way she like interacts, and almost like an empty vessel where you could be like, pass this policy, Kamala, and she would do it. I don't know. That's what I think. Let's see what Silver says here. Don't forget to mention, let's see. Don't forget to mention the fact that the Israeli intelligence services was mentioned multiple times in the files. No coincidence that Israel got their nukes 2 years after Kennedy assassination. You know, I didn't know that they got nukes 2 years after. That is interesting timing. Yeah, they were mentioned multiple times, and they request. I don't know if it was the CIA or if it was. I don't know that they were called Mossad back then, the Israeli intelligence services. But if they were called Mossad back then, one of the two parties requested redaction, and they didn't get it. That is true. And they were mentioned several times. You're right. Yeah, that's what I wonder, like, of a subpopulation being in the mafia after they took over from the Italians. Apparently they like had a big fight with the Italians and completely took over. But yeah, here's all those mentions, by the way. That's funny timing that we see that. Tons of mentions of Israel, and it was the CIA that requested it. And allegedly, according to Stu Peters, Israel is literally the only thing they're requesting to be redacted. So they don't want I guess they don't want the ties to Israel to be known. I am very unhappy that they don't have to register as a lobbying group, and that because you don't, I think the implications of that, you don't get to follow the money. You don't know how much, I don't know exactly what the implications of that are, but I feel like any other country that's not a U.S. country and you're lobbying the U.S. government, you should have to lobby, or you should have to register. That just makes sense to me. Makes sense. Let's see. The testimony of CIA and counterintelligence turned Israeli spy before a secret session with the Senate committee. This person, the file was missing. Oh, interesting. A CIA counterintelligence chief turned Israeli spy before a secret session with the Senate's Select Committee. Okay, I guess they better go looking for that document. If you want to understand the files, you're going to have to read them. You're going to have to go to conclusions. Okay, yeah, here's some of the worst general claims that would make you want to vomit about our government. And when I was young, and my grandfather, who was born in the early 20s, he didn't fight in World War II, but it's interesting they rejected people for flat feet. He got rejected because he didn't have like strong arches. Maybe it's because like running, you've got to run, and maybe flat feet people can't run that far. Anyways, he saw a lot. He saw the Great Depression. He was a sharecropper, like rural South, and I'd hear him tell lots of stories. But the darkest story I'd ever hear him tell was November 22nd, 1963. And I just got to think, like, if I were alive and I knew what I knew now, I would almost feel that's when the Republic lost its soul almost. Like it became, it's hard to describe. It's almost, it's the same with what they, again, I'm going to compare to Donald Trump here in a moment, but listen to some of these things. They were engaged in regime change. We know that they, overthrow governments, biological warfare, political warfare, psychological warfare, global control of media, assassinations, black market activities, gun, drug trafficking, etc. The reason Trump wanted to drop these JFK files is because of the parallels to what is happening now. Trump is trying to educate the masses on how the game is played so they can better understand what is happening in today's world. I mean, they even had, if you follow Mike Benz, I call him the world's foremost expert on the deep state. They had written plans. If Trump would have won in 2020, they had more BLM support. He did win, in my opinion. He lost. The left loves to say, he lost by like 8 million votes. No, it was literally 40,000 votes across 4 states that he lost the Electoral College. And I think out of 81 million votes, 40,000, it's very easy to see how that with 200% more mail ballots than any other previous election in U.S. history, and Joe Biden's Department of Homeland, excuse me, I got like a peanut stuck in my throat, but that much money, or that many mail ballots, and the money that some of the social media companies sent out, I could see 40,000 out of 160 million stuff could have happened. So I'm completely skeptical. And I'm glad I can say that now. Didn't used to be able to say that a few years ago. But yeah, they had that plan. They were going to pay BLM to like make the country so violent that people would beg for Trump to step down, and then he would step down, and they'd put in Biden. That was allegedly a written plan by the CIA to get rid of Trump in 2020. But now support for BLM has collapsed. So now they've got to create this new monster, which is Elon Musk and Tesla, the Nazi. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's. But I don't think that there's enough people to do it. I mean, we're seeing it across the country at Tesla dealerships, but it's still not on a scale. The BLM riot cost $3 billion. That was the most expensive non-natural disaster, meaning, non-hurricane, probably way more than any ever tornadoes, probably just hurricanes that have cost more. But most expensive non-natural event in U.S. history, $3 billion. Literally forced entire insurance agency to redo their policies, which is wild. But I like this guy a lot. Follow him I would recommend following Clandestine on X. He's kind of, he's a conspiracy theorist with evidence. Yeah, that peanut is trying to take me out. That's right. I got some water kind of far away, but I'm gonna wrap up in a few minutes. But that peanut ain't got nothing on me. I'll be good. Let's see. Don Anderson, are they really? I'm embarrassed to say I haven't been aware enough about this. Can I ask you where you're located? Kennedy was fighting the PM of Israel over nuclear capabilities, and one of the ZOA to register his foreign agents. Yeah, there's a lot of speculations on that. But yeah, so Clandestine is saying Trump wants everybody to know what's happening. So I guess there was one allegation that Trump was that he had dirt on enough of Congress to make them repeal the 1913 Federal Reserve Act and destroy the Federal Reserve. Because if we've got Doge and we know the money trail and we know that, I don't know what percentage of congressional congressmen or congresswomen, I don't know what percentage of them don't get super wealthy when they go to Congress. I'd imagine it's a small minority. So if the supermajority is taking kickbacks and you have evidence of criminal activity, a president could theoretically leverage that, say, hey, you're going to either abolish the Federal Reserve by voting on a bill, or you're going to go to federal prison. Which is it? So, we'll see what happens with that. That'll be really interesting. Who tried to assassinate Trump? Who created the? I still can't speculate about that on some channels. The southern border, the media, regime change in Ukraine. So everybody has to be awakened, and it is a mass awakening. I think it's the whole world is waking up, and it is a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, Roman Catholic. I felt the Roman Catholic Church has been infiltrated for a while. They've always had these backhanded comments against Trump or against country that's a populist. They're like, you're not going to accept 10 million people that live off welfare and pay no taxes who will destroy your country? Well, you're not a real Christian, or some garbage like that. When Trump releases the exact same redacted files that Biden already released. Yeah, some of this stuff is new. It's not, that's fake news. Some of it might be old, but some of it's new because these claims, I've ran it through several different AI, and they're saying that there's several novel claims, and they've been trained to have read all of them. So this is the thing that pisses me off the most. These two men, and I say this a lot because I do have a lot of new viewers. If you're atheist, if you're another religion other than Christianity, if you're agnostic and you're politically conservative or even moderate or even classical liberal or libertarian. I don't like the libertarians that want no borders at all, though. You guys are crazy. But with the exception of those, you're still welcome on my channel. But I'm a Christian. I'm not a perfect one. But I do believe in providence and that the United States was very unlikely to happen, and that there was a God that interceded to keep these men alive through these insane battles, and they had viral infections with no medicine. But I don't know why God didn't intervene here with JFK. Maybe he looked at the nation at the time and was, who knows? I'm not God. I don't know. But for some reason, these are the same people. This is a Democrat populist. This is a Republican populist. And our government wanted the power over the people instead of giving the people the power. So they assassinated the leader of the most powerful government on planet Earth. And I mean, just the whole psychology of the country changed for decades. It had to have had. I'm feeling it and it wasn't even born. But, I don't know why. And I don't question these things to the extent where I question God's will and start like judging God, because I'm not omniscient. I don't know everything, so I can't think on God's level. So I'm not judging God, but I'm just curious, I don't know why. But anyways, Trump turned his head, and it's the exact same. The handlers, the way they treated them. Oswald obviously was military. He had a lot of training. This young kid they used who was in a BlackRock commercial, he donated to Act Blue. He didn't have all that professional training, but his GPS ping showed him at a gun range at the DHS. He was shooting a gun with federal government employees. And the other crazy guy that camped for 12 hours at the Trump golf course, well, he's been in Ukraine, like who knows doing what. He's donated a lot of money to Act Blue as well. And they registered them as Republicans. And then Democrats think that's some kind of big win. Like, okay, you can be a Republican and not be a Trump fan. There's plenty of them. They're the Liz Cheney types. So, I don't know. Maybe God just said he's heard enough people praying that it's time to turn the nation around. But I realized that last night, and I was like, they really... I don't know exactly how his policies were. The 60s, obviously, we were a lot more of a conservative country, and leftism wasn't as extreme, and feminism, and all these isms that exist. But it probably stopped a civil war, and he's still here. So I believe we are seeing the rebirth of the republic. I don't know that, some people say that AI is the Antichrist. It's going to give us all of our pleasure and all of our material goods. Things will be so cheap that you won't even have to work. Maybe, maybe not. But so far, by Trump turning his head, it looks like the republic lives on, and that it's going to live past 250 years. I'm so excited about July 4th, 2026. Anyways, that's what I got. Our government tries to overthrow itself whenever someone else in our government tries to give the citizens of the government more power and money. So that's where we're at. But I appreciate y'all. Subscribe or follow if you have not. Hit the thumbs up. Help me get this to more people. And I'll catch y'all soon. Have a good one.